get started here. Cool, thanks. My name is Scott Jann. I'm a software engineer in town here. Bit of a, I guess, enthusiast or whatever about Bitcoin, and have found a lot of people don't really understand it, so wanted to talk to everybody, kind of introduce what it is and why you might want to use it, how you can use it. Get started here. My Twitter handle's ZenWheel. Bitcoin, like money, is a way to transfer value. Unlike currency like a dollar, it's completely virtual and decentralized. That's an important thing. There's no central bank that is controlling the value of what a Bitcoin is. It's everybody that's using it kind of decided based on supply and demand what the value of it is, and are in complete control over how it is transferred. It's like a lot like PayPal, where you can send money to somebody else on the internet, but unlike PayPal, it is not tied to a dollar or a euro or any existing currency. It's its own new thing. One of the big technological advancements in it, with things that are digital, it's really easy to make copies of stuff, like duplicating a file, whatever. It's very easy to copy digital things, and that poses a problem for something like money, where you don't want people to copy their money and just make more of it. So this is a solution to that problem. Basically, getting ahead of myself, Bitcoin operates with, basically it's a ledger of all transactions that have ever occurred with Bitcoin, and everybody shares that knowledge, and it's called the blockchain, and everybody that uses it it's public. You can see every transaction that's ever happened, and so you can know if people are lying about their transactions. So you know the network guarantees that money is only spent one time. And I think it was first thing to do something that, at least at this scale, without having a centralized, like PayPal, you sign into their server, they control what goes in and what goes out, and so this is much different scale where all of the people involved decide on what goes in and what goes out. Bitcoin itself was created by Satoshi Nakamoto. I think the paper was published in 2008 that defined it, and 2009 it kind of started to exist as a thing out in the world. And the crazy thing about this is nobody knows who that is, or if it's a person, a group of people. That entity, Satoshi, was the creator and has since kind of disappeared from the scene. Whenever I think about it, it's like something out of James Bond or something, this mysterious entity that's wreaking havoc on the financial system in the world. It's pretty cool. No, and in today's world, it seems crazy that somebody can get away with that. But a couple months ago, there was a story in Newsweek that they claimed to have found who this guy was. Mysteriously, it was somebody named Satoshi Nakamoto that was living in California, and he said, "That's not me." He had no idea about all this Bitcoin stuff. I think he wasn't even saying it correctly. He was saying bit something else. And yeah, so it turned out he wasn't the guy, but I don't know what happened with everybody in Newsweek because of that. But yeah, so to this day, nobody knows who that is specifically. And yeah, just kind of crazy. And the bottom line there is something that is a Bitcoin address. So when you send value around, you send something, you send an amount. It's Bitcoin, floating point number. It has 8 significant digits of decimal digits. So right now the value of a Bitcoin is somewhere around $400 some. You don't want to give somebody $400 for a cup of coffee. You want to need some fraction of that. And so it goes down to 8 decimal places. And so you would send something like that to an address like that string there, which is kind of gross. The QR code looking thing over there is a representation of that when apps on your phone can scan that and put the address in. That address is the public key associated with a private key in your wallet somewhere. And that's really what is the most visible thing in the network. You want to, yeah.
It says on Wikipedia that Satoshi has roughly 1 million Bitcoin.
Yeah, which if you do the math times $400, it's a lot of money, no matter how you spend it. There aren't that many yet, or $40 million, or.
It says equivalent to 1.1 billion.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
When you say you found 8 decimal points as to how you subdivide a Bitcoin,
Yep.
is it still tied to that individual node, so to say, like and serial number that identifies that one individual Bitcoin? Does that get updated?
The actual, like there's no real serial number associated with the Bitcoin. The actual, like Bitcoin, the number that, like you say you have one, it gets kind of complicated. That the address that you have will have whatever fraction, it will have a number associated with it, which is the sum of all the transactions up to that point in the blockchain. So there isn't really a number or like that represents the Bitcoin. It's the value of what's in your address is a number that represents the Bitcoin. And in use, every time you use your address, I go ahead here to next slide. This one. So if you want to use Bitcoin, one of the first things you need is what's called a wallet. That software, I can't really see the little screenshots of it, but that runs on your computer, which this is one of the things that was most confusing to me, like used to the bank holding my money, and the Bitcoin wallet is software that you can run on your computer that has the money in it on your computer, and the world trusts you enough to have that running there and do what you want with it. And that will manage a set of, well, it will manage the private keys associated with your addresses. And with those, every time you do a transaction, it'll generate a new public key off of it. And so it allows you a way to track who's paid you by looking at the address that things come to you with. Then another trick that it deals with, you may have hundreds of these addresses in your wallet that represent your Bitcoins, and it'll show you a sum of that. Like you may have like 2 Bitcoins in your wallet, but they may be all sorts of tiny transactions that add up to that. And so the software will piece together all of the things necessary. Like if you wanted to send one of those to somebody else, it would piece together a half here, a quarter here, and send those as one combined transaction to an address that you're trying to send that value to. And yeah, there are lots of ways that you can set up your wallet. The Bitcoin QT is like the standard, the one that Satoshi started back a couple years ago. It is ahead of everything else, but people have made other clients. It's all open source, so multi-bit is one that, well, the Bitcoin QT, the QT is the front end to it. It actually runs as a little daemon in the background, and it downloads the entire blockchain to your computer. And so if you have, like, I think it takes about 20 gigabytes for all of that data these days, it manages that all for you, but that it takes quite a while to download that all from the Bitcoin network. So there's multi-bit was another one that's out there that it doesn't have to download the entire blockchain to do it, but because of that, it doesn't participate fully relaying transactions for other people and doing stuff that maintain the health of the Bitcoin network, like the Bitcoin QT or Bitcoin D do. There are ways to store your Bitcoins online at various websites. Blockchain.info, I think, is one, at Coinbase, and the Mt. Gox was one of the places that people stored value until recently, and as such, that was a site that was recently hacked, and everybody's stuff on there had all disappeared. So it's a good warning that storing your stuff online where you have no control over it is not necessarily the best way to protect your assets. But when you're running the Bitcoin QT on your computer, you're responsible for it. It just like the bank is responsible for securing your money for you, you have to take precautions so you don't get hacked and lose all the value in your wallet. And there's things you can do, like the client supports encrypting your wallet, where you can give it a big long passphrase to, and everything's encrypted with that. So if somebody copied the file without that passphrase, they still can't get access to your private keys and get access to your Bitcoins. And yeah, backing up is also a really good idea. So if you lose your computer, then you lose all the Bitcoins that were in the wallet on it. And the offline was the last thing for your wallet. There's, if you're real paranoid or responsible or whatever, you can take your private keys and like print them out onto paper and get them off of your computer. So even if somebody hacked you, your stuff is safe. I think represents it with a barcode, so you can get it back into the computer easily when you want to. But yeah, really all the wallet is managing is that private key that allows you to respend any of the value of Bitcoins that you have in any of your addresses. So it's that's a very important thing to keep safe. And yeah, next. Yep. Yeah. No, you're out of luck. It's a lot like cash in that way. Like cash, if somebody gets a hold of your, yeah. Yeah, it's all in the blockchain. So you can,
If I want to send him a Bitcoin, I broadcast the entire network that my private key is sending him
whatever.
transaction of coin.
Yeah.
So, if for some reason your Bitcoin gets stolen, you can track where it's going. And at some point, it might go to an address of a merchant.
Yeah, if somebody, yeah, you might have an address for where they're shipping something to, or their bank account.
Buying something with your stolen Bitcoin. Well, now you have a physical location. And it hasn't happened yet, but I expect there will be lots of stupid criminals that might recover something.
Yeah, but it is a lot like cash though. That somebody gets a hold of your dollar bill, they can spend it then. But yeah, if you had the serial number of it, yeah, and you might recover it. Yeah.
But on the other end of it, if you delete or don't back up or your computer fries and you lose that private key, everything inside for that private key is gone.
Yeah.
Yours. Like I have a friend who had 600 Bitcoin a year and a half ago. That was worth $600,000 not too long ago.
Yeah. See.
Because I've gotten into really heated arguments with people on Bitcoin
Hmm.
about if you write a piece of software and then you turn around and say that your users are not very bright, is that really the kind of message you want to be sending? So yes, you can say that.
Hmm.
But blaming your users is not a good way to
Get more users.
get adoption.
Yeah.
So, this is why there are online wallets, because
You don't have to maintain. You're not responsible for it at that point. Yeah.
You're also not able to protect it.
Yep.
And if you don't have the private keys, you don't actually have the cash.
Yeah.
Because
And
you can't actually change.
with not sure if I think blockchain might let you get access to your private keys and transfer out of there, and not, but for the most part, when they're stored online, you don't have access to the private keys. They just promise that if you request a transfer out of there, they will give you that value, and so yeah, you have to trust them.
So I have a question. You
Yeah.
fry your computer, you lose the keys. Do the bitcoins disappear from the entire ecosystem?
They're still there,
But they're not spendable by
unless
right?
unless somebody gets that private key again.
Right. So what does that do to the value of the currency?
Um,
If some of it just absolutely.
It's stuff just disappears. Yeah.
So, I mean, that must have some kind of effect on
And
economics.
yeah, it's not my expertise either, but I think it has some effect, but it's not. The stuff that's in active circulation has more of an effect. And like what Satoshi has in value of Bitcoin, like that, there's rumors that nobody actually has control of those keys anymore. They disappeared, and nobody will have access to them again. So it's
Buried in a treasure chest on an island.
and the blockchain points to it, but yeah, there's maybe no way to get to them again. Yeah.
I think something I find ironic is that there's a perception out there that spending a Bitcoin is a way to spend currency anonymously like you would
Yeah.
a blockchain thing.
It tells you exactly.
Totally like false. It's a false.
Well, it is and isn't. Like you can track that address, but there's nothing that says that you own that address, or and depending on where it goes in the future, like it might never have any evidence that tracks back to you. But yeah, that was yeah.
You want to play anonymity game. I've gotten into arguments. To me, the reason I like Bitcoin was first, wow, I mean, I have the choice of do I store my private keys on my laptop here, or somebody can run over my laptop and try to
but you're in control. For better or worse. Yeah.
Back to the anonymity usage. If you're going to use it, you're going to try to use it as an anonymous. If you want it for anonymity, you need to think very, very carefully about if I was doing this with cash, how would I do it anonymously? Because I am convinced that the idea that Bitcoin is anonymous is something that was put out by law enforcement and the NSA because they know where it all is, or they have the capability to know where it all is.
Yeah.
So that they know how to use it better.
Oh.
One other thing
Yeah.
to clarify on that is that there actually is a limited number of private keys that can be generated for Bitcoin wallets.
It's a very large number, but
There's a limited number, and when you go in and you generate a new wallet, it is random. The likelihood of you generating the exact same wallet as somebody else that previously has generated one infinitely units, but it could happen.
yeah.
Somebody could generate the exact same private key.
And you could generate millions of them. Use all your computing power to generate private keys all day and see if. No, that's different. Yeah, yeah. With one more.
Is there a way of knowing that a bunch of Bitcoins have collapsed the marketplace back that you got questions about?
Now, there's no way to know that somebody's got the private key that points to it or not. It's associated with an address, but it may not be get toable. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't show up, but you need the private key to do that. So, yeah.
I read an article about the economics stuff on the idea that it is sort of an inflationary currency because there are so many private keys that are going to just get lost over time and phone drives that'll get lost. And don't exactly know which ones are out of circulation and which ones are in a safe deposit box. But
Yeah.
you bet, like I've lost Bitcoin. There are so many people that have just lost their keys, and so over time those keys
And
will
yeah.
cause the currency to.
Now, there's one other piece here. There's sort of the economics. There is a number in the code that says, or actually an algorithm that says there will be, what, 21 million Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think I have that here. Yeah, there's 21 million that can exist, or just shy of.
Code that you download and run today.
Yep.
If somebody, if FedCoin comes along and says, oh my gosh, we have to prevent a collapse of the Bitcoin economy, and we're going to change that number. They can change the number, everybody can download it, and now there's more.
But
So the number it's in code. We can change it. We just have to get everybody.
you just have to have everybody agree.
Well, and you don't even have to get everybody to agree. You just have to get enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. But you can have forks. I mean, you could have
Well, there are many forks
well, like you could have a fork
of,
of the Bitcoin blockchain.
and call it actually Bitcoin. Yeah,
And then you could have Bitcoin 25 million.
yeah. And at some date you switch over, and yeah, that can happen.
Just because somebody says, oh, 21 million are all that will ever exist, well, if that's the only code you're ever going to run, then yes, you're right. But why are you going to keep running code that probably has security?
Well, the 2140 is the year that you reach that 21 million. So, I mean, that's a long time from now. There's time to change the code before that.
It'll change.
Or it'll change to something else, but yeah.
It'll change or somewhere everybody will start using Dogecoin.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gotten through 13 million or so, almost of that 21 million so far. And that's it has, yeah, it's all because of what's written in the code, which I'll get to that with the mining stuff. The there's a new block every 10 minutes, and the block kind of puts a stamp down on what transactions have been have taken place, and that don't have anything mentioned. You wait for confirmations of your transaction to be sure that it took place, and that somebody's not going to try to double spend that value. And so that's another thing that has changed, like these offshoot different coins that are based on this. They reduce that number or increase that number. The 10 minutes is an arbitrary choice, and it means you have the 10 minutes to wait around because of it. Yeah. Yeah, usually it's 6 confirmations on the network before you are really sure that that transaction is never going to get disappear from the blockchain.
One of the things that's helped me is to try to do like an actual user story.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if, so like the 3 of us, could we go through a user story of what happened if I sent you a Bitcoin?
Sure. Yeah.
So I have a private key, and I have a Bitcoin. So I take my private key and I sign this packet, and then I broadcast, tell him when paying him, and then I just tell him, like, hey, I'm paying him 5 Bitcoin. And because I sent this message, well, I could send the same message to him. Say, oh, I'm going to take you 5 Bitcoin. No, I'm going to take you
The same 5 Bitcoin.
5 Bitcoin. And what prevents that from happening is what they call proof of work. So if he's running a miner and he finds the block,
Good.
I'm trying to figure out the easy way to explain it.
So the code.
So basically, once he sends a Bitcoin to him and a Bitcoin to me, both of those transactions are basically in an unconfirmed transaction pool. Miners come along, and miners are working to hash transactions
And create the block.
And for hashing a transaction and completing a block and adding it to the blockchain, they get rewarded with Bitcoin, bring more currency into Bitcoin.
Existence. Yeah.
So when they grab unconfirmed transactions, it runs it through the blockchain to make sure that they're valid, and then puts it in this block, hashes that block, and adds it to the blockchain. As soon as that happens, the next time through, when somebody else is working on a block, grabs the transaction to me, now they run through the blockchain and they go, oh, this money's already been spent. We can't double spend it. It invalidates the second.
Never makes it into a block.
That's what that, yeah.
So when they say
That's-
6 confirmations, what they mean is basically the block has moved 6 blocks deep onto the blockchain.
Another way to say it is say you're running a miner and you find the magic number that proves that you spent a lot of electricity to do a bunch of calculations. So you find this magic number that proves you wasted a lot of electricity forming your house, which is great.
Yeah.
So he found the block and he says, I saw, and you get a pick as the miner, which one of those transactions is valid. So you get whichever one you saw
And-
first, you probably said, I saw this one.
Well, the code prefers whatever the longest chain is as the choice.
If I send the same Bitcoin to both of you guys,
Yeah.
so one of you gets to be a miner and finds a block and says, I'm going to pick it. And miners are free to pick whichever one they want, but they will pick one and then broadcast the block out to everybody. And then somebody else that's mining will find another block that references the last block. So then there's 2 confirmations. So 2 miners have now said,
That transaction is okay.
we hit the thing. And then when you get to 6 confirmations, there's 6 people, 6 theoretically independent miners, have all validated that Bitcoin's only been sent once.
And it's very unlikely. it did get double spent to go back on that.
One mining pool that was able to generate 6 blocks in a row themselves. And if you can do that, then you can actually alter the blockchain and set what the transactions are inside of the earlier blocks.
Well, what you can do, if you have the capability to generate 6 blocks in a row, is, so let's say I have the capability to generate 6 blocks in a row. And I send him a Bitcoin, and I send him a Bitcoin, the same Bitcoin. Well, what I do
You
is
can
I
tell.
send that one to him. And I start generating 6 blocks in a row in private, and don't tell the rest of the world.
Meanwhile, everyone's confirming
Everyone's
that went to him.
Well, then I turn around and broadcast those 6 blocks, and because I had more hashing power than the rest of the network, well, now that original
Yeah.
transaction gets invalidated, but he's already accepted it and shipped from it. So now all of a sudden his Bitcoin disappears, and because I had more hashing power.
So you need to wait for enough confirmations to make sure that doesn't happen.
Very, 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 very unlikely.
Yeah.
Does the confirmation generally take?
Well, it's in each block, which is the 10-minute cycle. So 6 takes about an hour.
So if I was accepting Bitcoin for some service, I would want to wait until that 6
Hour. Yeah. Yeah.
before I ship you.
The
And then,
reality is, if you're accepting credit cards, there's a fraud. And if you're shipping a physical product and somebody tries to play this game, you can call law enforcement or have them arrested. So if you're shipping a physical product, it's probably not a big deal. If you're running a Bitcoin exchange,
yeah. I guess. What?
Well, yeah, and I think that's the really interesting thing about Bitcoin, is because you have all these independent exchanges that are confirming each other, you don't need a central exchange. And that's, would you say that's the real?
Yeah. Well, it's, again, having the control over the network that gives you the power, illusion of power, rather than letting MasterCard or whoever be that central clearinghouse. Like, everybody agrees on it, and you don't have to trust MasterCard with that responsibility, or whoever, not to pick on. It doesn't.
What I see, for me, is that I look at the efficiency or whatever of MasterCard as the central clearinghouse. And I see that they have no real financial incentive in a lot of ways to minimize costs. So I look at the transaction cost of MasterCard, and I think that's higher than what the transaction cost of having fully independent exchanges. And so that the theory is that even with all the mining, and I don't know that this is a good theory, that the transaction costs are lower than having a centralized exchange. Because you get a centralized exchange, there's a whole political whatever that's beyond this.
But the reason this is built is to get away from the centralized clearinghouse. Peer-to-peer, it's zero cost from not excluding the electricity cost and everything,
Yeah.
how it's running it, but it's, you're not paying a 3% PCI fee on this transaction.
And, yeah. You're also not tied to any government controlling the political aspects of it.
Control and regulations to get away from all that control and regulation from those centralized.
Right. But if you want to cash out, how do you cash out?
There are a number of exchanges that let you both cash in and cash out. You can buy Bitcoins with dollars, like either wire them money or generally not buy them with credit cards or anything. But yeah, that's kind of a different than actually buying and holding onto your Bitcoin. That's like using the Bitcoin for the product. Yeah, they're both directions. You can, yeah, they're Netscape. Yeah, yeah, it's yeah. Coinbase helps. They actually did the back end for those guys, so they know what they're doing. Yeah, there's other big names in there too. They're kind of
Well, and Coinbase actually has an office in San Francisco.
yeah.
And that's, if I'm looking at something, the first thing I do is I try to find, do they have that physical address? And if they do, it might be recorded.
Yeah.
Coinbase is now linked up with Mint, so Mint will track your Coinbase account as an investment account.
Yeah, but yeah, you can transfer in from your bank account and out again. So yeah, they've definitely made it a lot easier. Like a couple years ago, it was more difficult, but you could always like go to somebody and say, "I'll give you $100 bill. You give me half a Bitcoin or whatever," and you exchange that way. But yeah. What else do I have on the getting to mining here? The mining is how new coins are created. Kind of covered that. Each block has a reward for the miner that finds the block, and those coins come into existence. It started out as 50. It's currently 25 Bitcoin per block, and it's a function of the hash rate of the entire network, whether like the likelihood of you actually finding that block. And so at this point in time, it's very unlikely. And so people team up in what's called pools to help their chances, and with an agreed upon setup, split up whatever rewards they get. Yeah, I kind of covered most of like what mining actually does. Like, it verifies the transactions that have occurred on the network. Back when this whole thing started, you could take your CPU in the spare time. Instead of running SETI at home, you could mine Bitcoin and get probably what's worth a lot of money now. That yeah, well, I didn't leave it running. I just was like, what would I use this for? And it didn't. Yeah, yep. So yeah, it turns out if you would have left it running, it would have probably been a really good idea. But CPUs, yeah, the running that on the CPU, like people figured out that hey, there's these GPUs in these computers that are really, really good at doing parallel computing. Let's figure out how to use that for mining, and people did that, and that was exponentially faster and really started changing things. But recently, I guess, maybe past year or so, the ASICs have come out for the proof of work algorithm for Bitcoin that have changed it completely again, and a CPU is worthless. Yeah, but they give you some kickback, so not exclusively. My furnace doesn't do that, but the keys themselves, the private key in your wallet uses the elliptic curve private public key. I'm actually not sure. I think, yeah, the elliptic curve digital signature something algorithm, yeah. But it's used for other things other than Bitcoin, but it's just what they've chosen. That's the actual, like, the transactions use that. The mining itself is just doing hashes of the transactions in the block. That uses the SHA-256 algorithm for Bitcoin, and it's and it turns out it lends itself to being implemented in an ASIC, and it can be done really fast. Difficulty, that is a number that keeps going up. It's calculated every 2016 blocks, blocks. It changes the difficulty based on how much computing power is in the network, and that goes into your equations to figure out how likely you are to actually mine a block, and it keeps going up exponentially. So these days it's very difficult to make money mining, but plug for your talk, because that's coming up the last session today. Talking about mining altcoins, and the next slide I got your talk on there too. Since Bitcoin is open source, people have taken it and they rename it and try to make a buck or whatever the incentive is. Call it some whatever internet meme is going on, and make a coin based on that, like the Kanye, whatever that was recently. Yeah, somebody made one of those, the Dogecoin or Catcoin. Yeah, so people make all these things up. They change little parameters like that 10-minute duration. Like there's one called Fastcoin that does that. I think it's 12 seconds instead of 10 minutes, something like that, maybe 30 seconds, to try to, because, that's the worst thing about Bitcoin. Let's change that and see how it works. And so all those things exist, and some of them take off, some of them don't. There are exchanges out there that let you turn those things into Bitcoins. What else do I have on this?
Some of them get started, and then you find out the developers left and went to some other project. So now you have
That's just orphaned. Yeah.
this is what happened. The original developers just left.
They're people pre-mine them like before they announce them to the public, so they have a bunch. When it hits it big, they have lots of coins to use. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. John Gruber, the Daring Fireball dude. Yeah.
Figured out how much electricity costs per day for how much you make per day?
Definitely depends on how the newer ASICs are using less power, so that plays into it. One other topic on here, the bunch of the altcoins are using the S-crypt proof of work algorithm. Like Litecoin was the one that kind of pioneered that, but Dogecoin and all these things use that as well. That is not as prevalent in the ASICs yet. There are a few starting to trickle out. That's if you have GPUs, like that's still something you can use to mine those coins. Let's see, is that it? Yeah, that was it. Let's see, did I have anything else to mention? I don't know. Any other questions? Yeah, it got 2 more sessions coming up. Yeah. it, the the block reward halves every 4 years. It started out at 50, went down to 25, maybe 12 and a half in 2.5 or 3 years from now, and it keeps halving. So by 2140, it's a really small number, and there's not much incentive to mine if that's all you're getting. And so there's a thing called transaction fees that the miners also get in addition to the block reward. But I don't know if you'll hit that and talk about mining.
So much adoption and there's so much transactions going on between transactions across the network that the miners will actually still be able to like have a reason to mine and keep adding more.
Or something replaces it by then. Yeah, I guess that's it. And
There's
any
also, if you're looking for more information, want to know really how Bitcoin works under the hood, there's a great video and blog post called Bitcoin Under the Hood.
cool.
It's 22 minutes long, but I definitely explained that.
Cool. Hopefully it's helpful for you guys.